is Warriors Anonymous.
Well, you know what they say, the dawn is darkest at dawn. Having said that, it is a new dawn because Isaac is back. Welcome back, bro. Fatherhood duties have been keeping you on your toes and probably not getting any sleep and all of that, bro. How you been going?
Yep, back. Cambodian Monty Beetham is back. Monty Beetham. Good. Yeah, just come back from a bout of COVID though, so it didn't help. So the wife really stepped up, and I feel really bad for doing this when I should probably be helping with more stuff to make up for the past 5 days. But yeah, fatherhood's awesome. Wife is good. Little Una is great. Yeah, couldn't be better.
Awesome, bro. Awesome, man. Really cool to have you back and help lift the spirits a little bit. Also, I'm loving the actual look of tonight's lineup that we've got here, boys. We've got the whole array, like all the colors there. It's like we were saying it was like the old Michael Jackson black and white video. It's black.
Yeah.
So yeah, folks, if you want to get your Warriors Anonymous merch, like this stuff, head along to warriorsanonymous.co.nz and and get it all sorted today. And stay warm as well, because freaking hell, it's been getting cold around the traps, hasn't it, fellas? Also,
what temperatures are you rolling there, buddy?
Yeah, bro. We're rolling on 13 today. I think we're getting what you guys got last week.
That's beach weather in Wellington.
Yeah, have your 13 and I'll give you 7.
Yeah, bro. It's funny because over here they're calling it a bomb cyclone here in Sydney, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, this just looks like just regular bad weather that I grew up in, bro. Like, seriously, it's windy, yeah, cool. It's raining sideways, It's like, yeah, sweet. Anyways, boys, a bit of a tough time. It seems like not that long ago we were thrashing the Sharks, heading off into the bye on top of the world, expecting to come back and carry on our good form against an understrength Panthers and follow it up against the Broncos. But man, how things have turned within the space of a couple of weeks. So I need to really point it out because it kind of doesn't feel like it at the moment, but we are still 4th on the ladder. So that's something to, at least keep your spirits, slightly elevated. It's still a hell of an effort so far. But boys, we'll start with a couple of hard or nars, the hard-hitting questions of the day. The first one being, will we be a top 4 team by the end of the regular season? And we'll start with you, Isaac. Welcome back, bro. We'll start with you.
I wanted to bring some levity to this podcast, but I'm going to say no, just because of the player losses that we've had, specifically Barnett and Metcalf. We'll definitely be in top 8. I think maybe we'll finish at around 6. I just didn't see much from that Panthers game for one thing, and then the Broncos game didn't help either, and then just the injuries involved. It's going to be quite a bridge to cross to get into the top 4.
Yeah, the bridge
Sorry,
over troubled
boys.
water. The bridge over troubled water is what it is. But a hard or nah, bro? Are we a top 4 team by the end of the year?
Just did a quick sneaky check at the draw, and we are hard. I think we can
we're
come
still
back
hard.
here, team. We knew the second half of the draw was going to tee us up with what we are framing more bottom 8 clubs as well. They do not guarantee you a victory in the NRL. We know that for sure. But if you had every opportunity to, off the great start we've had this season, the work that went in the first half of the season, then yeah. Yes, we've got some key injury issues and we'll go through it, but we've got some troops, so we just need to get some consistency. Also, teams do go through a little slump at some stage of the season, so depending how we can bounce back.
It is probably a good time to slump, I think, in the grand scheme of things. Hoping that none of those teams that we're playing in the rest of the draw are under strengths, because that doesn't seem to work for us either. Also, one good thing I have been noticing around the media is that all of a sudden everyone's getting off the bandwagon. So
Yeah.
everyone's saying season over, they're done, they're gone, and this is kind of the good spot that we actually like to, to do some good work offs. That is a good thing. Let's go with a follow-up hard or nah based on what we saw on the weekend. Should Tane Tuopiki have been put on the wing instead of Ed Cossey? Isaac, yours, please.
Hell yes. It's a question that doesn't need to be asked. I mean, I've got no time for Ed Cossey now. I'm sorry. I know he's a warrior. I know he tries, but he's not first grade material. His time is over. Yeah. Why wasn't Tane there?
It's fair to say he has fluffed his lines on a few occasions. And we, as a podcast, we tried to pump him up last week, and we showed all the little highlights he'd been doing and been playing well, and we were like, No need to worry, everyone. It's fine. He'll be all good. And then stuff like that happened on the weekend. Daniel, same question to you, bro. Should we have picked Tane instead of Mr. Ed?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, yes. I mean, Tane did a job early in the season, right? So we had confidence there. We never won a bag, but I guess it was summed up early on, right? So that scrum move, and I guess you go back to, and I think we might have said this last week, is he'd been tearing up in Cup as well. And I think if you play one of those tries, both of those tries we showed last week, and then we show that effort when he got bundled into touch. And it's like, that's the difference in first grade. Like, you can't just expect to get the ball and just fall over the line easily enough as well. Like, I think for most fans, there's just elements of not putting the intensity in. And, like, we're not footy players, right? We watch a lot of footy, we love the game, but to see him in situations where you expect just to go 60% into a play and expect to kind of get an outcome either through fall over the line and score a try or not be switched on enough to keep up the backline movement to catch a sitter to score in the corner. But it's just those plays there, and I think for some people in the top grade, it either just sticks or it doesn't. And there's players where it lands, they catch it, they make the play, and there's players that don't. And yeah, man, I think the bro's done it.
There's like a certain level of complacency I always find with Ed Ossie, like, just like you said, making an effort for the corner. And, he could probably play at 70% intensity and get away with it in the grade below. But when you get to the top flight footy, it doesn't cut it because everyone else is playing at 100%, 95, 100%.
Put it this way. I don't think I've seen any other player in the last 5 years get bundled into touch like that. In that scenario. Maybe the presence of mind to know. Like, don't get me wrong, if you get the ball down with a foot into touch, as a Warriors fan, you're like, it was close, and, but to not even have an attempt to put the ball down because you got bundled into touch like that.
Yep.
And you are maybe 30% larger than the person putting you into touch. I don't
Extra
know.
large. Jumbo size.
Yeah, I guess that just sums it up.
Yeah, it actually reminds me of our earliest podcast episodes. Back when we used to criticize Ken Maumalo, I remember, who was a big winger who just didn't really utilize the size. Didn't really thump people with his mass. But I kind of feel the same way about poor old Edward. But Isaac, you mentioned about the step up. We've seen in the last couple of weeks, Moala Grandalfa and Ed Cossey, a couple of guys who have been in great form in the top team in New South Wales Cup. But that step up to NRL, man, that's a big leap, and a lot of guys are getting found out about it. What's your thoughts?
It probably is complacency, thinking that they've had a good run. They're feeling pretty confident, but they're not realising that they have to put in the extra 1%ers, and that's what separates the men from the boys. We're blessed to have such dominant teams in these lower grades, but are we really prepping them when they hit the top grade? Because it's got to be next cab off the rank, your next man up mentality. If they want to hold a spot in that first grade team, they need to be of the mind that they're not just filling a spot for this week and then they go back down and dominate. They need to be, well, here's my opportunity to make myself a long-term player in that first grade team. And I don't know if the hunger's there or if just maybe the mindset. Maybe it might be the confidence thing. You get a bit nervous, get the butterflies, jumping up to the top grade. But for Cossey, though, like, he's had enough cracks, and he's had enough opportunities, and, shame on me if you fool me once, or shame on you if you fool me, shame on me if you fool me twice, Like, you think he would have learned after all those times, well, this is what is required for me to play at this level, but he hasn't quite got it yet, whereas a guy like Graham Talfa, I feel like maybe he's going to go back to the drawing board, learn from his mistakes, and not make those mistakes again.
Yeah, interesting take, bro. It was a real occasion in the build-up to this game against the Broncos over at Suncorp. Richie Morgan was leading the Warrior Nation charge straight down bloody Caxton Street. They took it over. The Nation was getting some real good shout-outs too as well, which is definitely much needed, and much what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it. Anyways, Daniel, like, it just made me wonder if our team, we just can't do big games. Like, if there's a big game this year, we've kind of fucked it up. So what's your thinking on that thought?
Yeah. I mean, we and I and all week, right? We pumped it up just because we love this occasion. We love the Broncos at Suncorp, right? So yeah, we just struggle perhaps with the expectation perhaps of what everyone wants them to achieve. But they'll be gutted as, and a big part of it, I think, and even compared to the Panthers game, they're not miles off, right? Like, go back to other teams in the comp, they get put 50 on, and and they've had a bad day. They've had a bad day, but there's been moments they've still been in the game as well. So I think the margin of our bad game is up, except for that Storm game, which even that second half we did right, is a lot smaller. So take a little bit of that out there. But yeah, I guess it's just a phase of just poor execution, real shit discipline. A little bit harsh, but also nitpicky as well. Like the Jackson Ford thing in terms of the escorts. Well,
On the field.
you could go either way, right? Like there were times when the Ezra Man did it about 3 or 4 times. He actually changed his line to block. Jackson Ford doesn't necessarily change his line. He maybe alters his body. He doesn't have to disappear.
He can hold his ground.
He can hold his ground. He just probably just shimmied in a little bit to give her that look. So there were a couple of things who got hard done by. And then there was some kind of, there was that scrum penalty that annoyed me. Like they get told about for like 5 times. I know what they're trying to do. Laban's trying to get out early before the breaks. Just things like that kind of, annoyed us. And then I think you take away the 18 points in the first half. Yeah, I think the Broncos were dominant, right? They were dominant, but we were still there. Like, we know Costi catches that ball, it's on for all money, right? We could have been 2 points behind.
Yeah,
like it just the air just went.
Yep.
And the score blew up for another try, but just want to remind people although we haven't been playing as well as we were pre-Sharks, if that's the best they got. We just dropped the level a little bit. So, but back to condition, maybe big games. Let's just get back under the radar.
It has taken probably the best part of 3 seasons. It's finally happened, boys. Webby has finally gotten into a post-match conference and fucking ripped into the referees. Because what the fuck was going on there? Few things. You mentioned about the scrum penalty, which I found interesting because watching that back, he was telling Reynolds not to feed it. He was like, no, wait. And then they fed it. And then he just penalised the Warriors. And I was like, well, hang on. If you're telling them to not feed it and then go ahead and penalise, I don't understand. Anyways. Also, I thought that the ruling on the Chanel Harris-Tavita attempted try in the first half, I found that very interesting because that had been called a try. And based on the angles that they were looking at, the way that the camera sort of panned out, it didn't actually give a clear shot of the early part of when he sort of reaches the line, right? So I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm sure that's on the ground. And so if you've got inconclusive evidence, the bunker needs something conclusive to overturn it. That's what I thought. So I'm not going to, get too overboard about things because I don't want to be one of those, wah-wah fans. But Isaac, what was your thoughts on the officiating and also Webby's take on it as well?
Webby's the champion, eh? But it was always going to happen. There's going to be some point in time when he's going to lose his rag, and for good reason. Like he knows what it is to be part of the Warriors. Yeah, I thought the officiating was pretty average, man. Like, there's so many rough calls going the Warriors against the Warriors way. And just lots of nitpicky stuff. It could have gone either way, and they happened to not go our way. That try with Chanel, if it's adjudged a try, we get benefit of the doubt, right? You've got to have clear evidence that he did not score, and I felt that the camera angles didn't show clear evidence that he didn't score. But they were so quick to overturn it. So it just felt like it was one of those games where it's not going to be our day. And, there's a whole lot of other calls throughout the course of that match, which you would have seen on social media, that didn't go in our favour. There was a little bit of ill-discipline, but I don't think it was bad as the refs made it out to be for the course of that game. And it just changed the momentum at so many different occasions for us. And like what I said, just takes the wind out of our sails. I mean, it's already tough enough to win a game, away against the Broncos at Suncorp as it is when you're not getting fair rub of the green.
I don't know what the rule is, but obviously Webby blew up about Reece Walsh being offside and then being taken out, or judged to be taken out. But I actually think, and I don't know the rule and I need to probably check it, but I think Reece Walsh can be offside so long as he doesn't affect the play.
Yes.
So he can still make a run, but can stay outside the 10-metre zone where the ball is as well. So perhaps maybe we got that wrong. I think he even conceded maybe, not sure how they would call that. But yeah, but still, I mean, I just come back to this kind of little nitpicky things. And it's good actually. Like he needs to kind of, mention those things. The Ricky Stewarts, the Craig Bellamy's, the Wayne Bennett's, they just say those things to put the referees on notice, to have that being looked at. It's just part of the psyche, right? Like we all know those master coaches will plant something. They know that their team is getting smashed on, just to kind of give a little bit of maybe a square up next week. So perhaps.
Yeah. One of the calls that really pissed me off was the Wade Egan break.
Oh yes.
That was because that's a match turner right there. That's a defining moment in the game where momentum's on our side. He gets a dominant run. Shouldn't he have the right of way to play the ball the way he did? But maybe to the letter of the law, it wasn't a correct play of the ball, but it didn't. I've seen worse, and that was he was the dominant man in that play. That one really pissed me off because that was just straight away. Nah, no advantage. It's a penalty actually other way. I was like, what? How?
Was he nudged or pushed by the defending player? It just seemed to kind of crumple down. I wondered whether he got. I forgot to go back and look at it, but there was, I think, the only one bright thing that Ennis DePena said was there needs to be something for the attacking team in those situations.
That's exactly yeah.
Because it's not fair. Like he's trying to make a quick play the ball. Yeah, he's got to be some advantage.
And it's one of those ones as well, like a lot of times a guy who makes a line break, you get to the last line of defence, grabbed by the fullback, and you get up to try and play the ball, and you get interfered with. Well, often that's actually a sin bin against the fullback stopping that play. So I'm 100% with you on that, Isaac. I thought that was pretty average. But I also felt sorry for Webby, man. Like, he got a bit of Ricky Stewart fever down on the sideline, caught up in the moment. And the one time he does say something, he didn't necessarily pick the right incident, I don't think, to really, cop a fine for. But he had a pretty shit day, to be fair. Lost a couple of players to injuries. Chance, of course, going to be out 4 to 6 weeks, they reckon. And the big one, LUKE Metcalf, done for the year with the ACL. Boys, what does this mean for our team's hopes this year? What do we do from here? We'll start with you, Isaac.
It's tough, eh? He's really been the sort of focal point for our attack. But as much as I hate to see him go, like it really, really sucks, especially the way he was playing, leading the Dally M's, and then just the injury to a familiar part of his body. I mean, you can't imagine the feelings that he was going through. I feel really good about this. Is my pick to take the 7 jersey, and Boyd jumping in. He's just been, playing the house down in the lower grades. He's got first grade experience. Maybe he'll offer something a bit different. The only thing is how the Warriors are going to sort of change the way they play or adapt to Tanner jumping into that 7. But yeah, it's a tough one. He just created board so many points and was just a threat with the ball. Yeah, just heartbreaking for him. I feel really, really, really bad for LUKE, but he'll be right. But yeah, Tanner Boyd, I think he's going to be able to do a pretty good job in the 7.
You've been speaking about him. So we've I've posted up a video just yesterday in regards to the contenders, a battle. It's head-to-head, really. Te Maire Martin versus Tanner Boyd. So the first half of this video is Te Maire Martin. So Isaac, you've alluded to Tanner Boyd. We'll get to him, I guess, in about a minute and a half's time. But Buddha, what are you thinking from the Te Maire Martin side and how he may slot in at 7?
Yeah, I mean, we know he can do a job, right? And even when he played fullback, he showed, some great touches in the weekend as well. Obviously, you come back to that point, he set up the old bridge pass, the Harbour Bridge pass that got put down. So yeah, Te Maire can do a job. His best position, I think, in the team is to play as a half as well. But maybe not to his credit, he's created a space to be the ultimate utility player for us. Spells Egan at 9, can come in the middle if needed as well. Obviously plays at fullback. So I think that in itself, we'd be knowing, with how the last few weeks have gone, you just need to have that utility player on the bench as well. So, but don't mind it. He can definitely do a job. But I think we all know that Tanner was brought to the club to probably be game managing, goal kicking 7, and here he is.
Speak of the devil. Timoine Martin, the way you're speaking about him, he's just basically Lance Hohaya 2.0, isn't he? He's just covering every different spot there. So these are the Tanner Boyd highlights, just showing a bit of different kinds of player, like field goal, obviously. That could come in handy. That's right. We didn't necessarily need it at that point, but it would be good for at certain points as we get into tight games, perhaps. Link play as well. Isaac, what are you seeing from your friend Tanner here?
I always thought he had something to him when he was at Gold Coast. I thought he was a little bit hard done by that perennial sort of cellar dwellers. Yeah, and played well against us too. I think he's got a really good all round game at 7. He's got a great kicking game, good boot on him. As you can see by these highlights as well, he's in the mix. He's around there, he's supporting like a good number 7 should. And he's a game manager as well. I feel like maybe with this Warriors team, it might unlock a little bit more of his potential as well. He looks really confident with everything that he's doing, and maybe he might be more of a runner than we imagined then in his time at Gold Coast with the forward pack that he's got in front of him. So, yeah, I always had a high opinion of him, to be honest. So I think he's probably the right man for the right time.
That's right.
I think I just want to add to that as well. I think, without putting too much expectation on him, every other NRL team, if their 7 went down to tomorrow, he would be the best replacement of any option for any club, right? So, I think as hard as it is, Julius, I know it's hard, bro. I mean, I know
he wants TMM.
He wants TMM. I get it, bro. But
get it.
He wants to be in the team.
Yeah, I just think the fact that we've got Tanner in there at a time you just touched on, and I just want to say to for Luka, gutted, like what a half of a season he's put together, right? I mean, look, you can't take that away from him where he was leading the Daily M's, and gutting. And just want to also mention like what this does to his confidence, like going to the line like that and getting blitzed, like. It actually got me thinking, and this is no negative chat on things, but that Izzy Katoa, like perhaps that game style of being able to play fast, play slow, move a little bit, kind of takes the defence off because, I mean, for any half now going to the line, knowing that you can get your ACL done, that's a lot to think about. So hopefully Luka comes back and be awesome. But the silver lining, and I wouldn't want anyone to go through a major injury, but the silver lining could be Tanner's way of steering the team around. Maybe that's what we need now, a little bit more structure, a little bit more sort of classic half play, and let the guys around him create. Well, he create, but let the other guys sort of take over as well. Could be
what I see happening as well, sorry to cut in, is probably TMM getting a more creative role as well, with Tanner Boyd being the quote-unquote sort of game manager more so than Luka would be. It might open up the running game for the likes of TMM and Chanel. I mean, Chanel's been running it a fair bit already, but maybe it might take a little bit more of the game managing pressure off him. Even more so, I guess, for Chanel to do his thing. Because I felt like with Chanel and Luka, they both played pretty similar styles. They both take a punt. They both kick. But maybe the kicking duties are just right off his back, CHD, and he can just concentrate on running and defending hard. And when TMM comes on, he can be that Dylan Brown type role, a little bit more creative. I think Tanner Boyd maybe allows them to play in that way, because they can't play exactly the same way they were before with Luke in there. He's just not. It's not a like-for-like player. They've got different skill sets, but it might open up the attack in that way.
The more I've actually watched of Tanner Boyd this year, I'm sorry to be harping on about this name, but he actually reminds me a lot of Ricky Stewart back when he was playing. Just how he's got the passing game, the kicking game, and the sneaky sort of dummy as well that he just breaks out at the opportune moment. And I really like I kind of do like that mix of playing styles, as you mentioned, Isaac. We've got a Ricky Stewart and Tanner Boyd, and then a more of a Laurie Daly type with Chanel.
And doesn't he just look like Cherry Evans' brother?
Yeah. Another thing as well, like if you look at those clips that you had, like he is really good, Tanner Boyd, at squaring up the line.
Yes.
And that brings players on, to put his point about like a Katoa, Isaiah Katoa. his skill set is just squaring up the line. He is just dominant in that aspect. And Tanner Boyd, he's got that skill, whereas I thought, again, I'm not ragging on Luke because I love him to bits. That was something he was still learning. He was still learning the craft of being able to do a Sean Johnson, sort of square up the defense and bring runners on, where Tanner Boyd's kind of is already there. So it might change things, the dynamic of that back line.
And and I hate to say, unfortunately, kind of with that play, look, if he had a little bit more of that maturity around how to square up the line, how to play slow, play fast, might have avoided a whack, if that makes sense as well. But, I mean, he bravery to dip into the line, right? That's the key part too. But, that square up, and he just didn't quite have it. And you're not expecting a half to go to the line like that and do an ACL, right? It's freakish, but... that's probably what 70 games of NRL can do with as a 7 like tenor.
Yep. Tackle was clean too. No issues with that. That was it was right on time. He almost bloody knocked the ball out of his hands. Just put any of that chat to bed. So Andrew Johns, I remember mentioning about how a half is doing his job when he gets whacked like that, because he's taking it to the line and freeing it up for the outside, which is exactly what Luke's done. And it's just, it's unfortunate. Also unfortunate is the fact we've lost Chance for a good, possibly 4 to 6 weeks. So what are we thinking in terms of our spine? Daniel, you ran through a little bit of a team list on the Warriors Anonymous Facebook page, right? What are you thinking for your spine and back five as well?
Yeah, I think, I like to think most fans would consider Taine Tuopiki at the back, right? I think that's the depth chart that Webby has in place as well. That would be him. And then, I think it would be a massive call to get Roger. Everyone will be going Roger there as well. But I just think that it requires a lot of movement, right? Off the ball movement, right? And I think Roger's showing his best where he's a little fresher, and he's got those obviously amazing carries as well. So keep him where he is. Just with everything going on with our lack of wingers, out and out wingers, I'd probably like to see Pompey shift to the wing, and actually with a bit more depth in the back row, bring Capes back into the centres, like just shore that defence up. I think that's probably pretty critical at the moment. We've been caught short on a few occasions in recent weeks too. Obviously having Rocco back there as well, so, back five, and then I guess Tanner coming in to that 7 jersey as well. Tamati just got the utility value, and he said, we've already named 5 or 6 roles that he can play on any given day based on what happens as well. So there's been a call for Tamati at the back, and look, we know he can do a job at one, but I think our game style requires a lot of energy coming out the back. I mean, Chans and RTS would play similar as well. Tuopiki, I guess, is not as physical going forward, but we do know he has the ability, especially when the game opens up later in the game, and he can pick up 10 metres easy, right? And he can turn defences inside out. So he might not necessarily at the start of the game kind of command that, but he'll definitely finish in the back end game like that as well.
Yeah, nice, bro. I really hope that we do move Pompey back to the wing. I think he's actually done good work at centre, yes, but I actually think he's done his best work this year outside, one spot outside. So I'm with you 100%. That back five, I'm happy for us to lock that in right now. Isaac, what are your thoughts, bro? Are you thinking the same?
I did comment online about maybe giving Morgan Harper a go. My theory around it is just having someone with first grade experience that he's not gonna change the world, but he's going to do a job. I don't feel like we need a flash in the pan type winger. I just think we need someone in that space to just do the hard yards, play solid, if unspectacular. The more I think about it, probably Cape Wire into the centres, because defensively he shores it up to the next level. We've got a dearth of second row options. Cape Wire has shown he can play at centre, no problems, and he's got a pretty good attacking game with him now as well at centre. And Pompey's done no wrong to take a wing spot too. It's a pretty solid defensive setup there. If you've got Berry, Cape Wire, RTS, and Pomps on the wings, that's pretty solid defensive looking back five. I mean, Taine doesn't have to make too many tackles at fullback. We know he can tackle. But one thing I do like about having Taine at fullback as well is he's played plenty of games with Tanner Boyd in the grade below. So hopefully they'll have a little bit of magic. They've got a little bit of cohesion with the way that they play, because they've been playing with playing in the same team
That was a good sidestep,
Yeah.
bro. Good sidestep there.
There's an RTS level sidestep right there. But yeah, they should have a bit of cohesion there. If Tanner's jumping into at 7 and Tane's at 1, they're going to know how they're going to be playing. So don't want to break up that combination by putting RTS at fullback. But we have this conversation every bloody year about RTS going to fullback. As much as we love to see him there, I think the better option is Tane.
I gotta say that is one name who had not crossed my mind at all, being Morgan Harper. But one thing I would love to see, now that you mention it, what he does offer and what he would bring is actually a bit of fire, like a little bit of spite, like when bloody Stags are getting up and whacking guys and Jordan Ricky in them, and I'm like, bro, we need someone to fucking give a bit back. And he's that kind of guy, he's that little fire starter. So that's a good shout. That's a very good shout. And as I say, one thing I hadn't thought of at all. Boys, obviously no game this week for the men's team. They got the bye. It is bye week again. But we do have a big game coming up, and that is the first match for the Warriors NRLW team, making their comeback into the NRLW. And I see that they are the underdogs against the Roosters over in Sydney. So I've had a look at the... That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not an easy one to come straight in, but we've got some guns in there. Interesting to see, particularly Daniel. We've got Michaela Brake out on the wing. So, bro, what are you expecting from that game, and also from Michaela as an individual?
To be honest, it could go one of two ways, right? It could go in a variety of different ways, but it could either be pretty tough because they are a new squad. There's a lot of first-time, first grade rugby league players as well coming in, but obviously professional athletes as well, and obviously from winning programs too, like the Seven Sisters, like Brake, who's got wheels, gas for days, maybe not as much space, but hey, that's the job for the team to create. So it could be a really tough start, but it could also be an exciting creation of just athletic talent getting out there, getting the job done, and learning as they go. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see how they go. We'll be backing them hard too. Love how they've got kind of, see Mount Smart when the men are playing as well, but their alternative home ground will be FMG or whatever they call it in Waikato as well. Yep. But yeah, Waikato League is hearty. It's probably the heartland of the league in the country. Auckland might be a bit salty on that as well. But,
Canterbury as well.
Sidestep that one too. Shit.
Whoop.
But from a woman's perspective, I've got cousins playing women's league as well. Awesome, just good to see. So yeah, I'm super excited, but it could be could be interesting.
Could be unpredictable.
Yes,
there you go.
Unpredictable. Like
they might throw all caution to the wind if they're playing the premiers and just go fuck it, some singles dialogue, and just run around like headless chokes, and they might spring some surprises.
Yeah, big adjustment for Michaela, though. Massive adjustment. She brings obviously a professional approach. They've talked about she's fit, she's fast, she's dynamic in what she does.
She's a winner.
She's a winner. But the role of the winger in the different games is different in these games, right? So, just running it straight off your goal line could be a different task. But hey, I think it's up to them to utilise her. Give us some one-on-one space and let her cook.
Yeah, I can imagine that the Roosters will be sending a few high kicks her way just to test her out. Yeah. That'll be interesting. Yeah, exciting game coming up. It's going to be, 10-2 on Sunday afternoon, New Zealand times. So yeah, get around that, and we'll definitely review it as well next week here on the podcast. I guess maybe be talking about a massive upset. Who knows? Yeah, well, we sort of wonder what the next step is for the men's side. And boys, it's been great chatting to you, Isaac. Been great to have you back, my man. Just to see the Cambodian Cliff Curtis back into the rotation, it's definitely helping. It's helping everything. So
Cambodian Motutoni,
Motutoni,
Vin Diesel,
Cambodian Vin Diesel.
Yeah, bro, you got some Cliff Curtis range there, boy. Anyways, yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit the website and grab yourself some sweet merch. And we'll touch base next week and wrap up the NRLW game, preview the next game for the men, and whatever else is coming up. We'll get it. But until then, I forgot to do this last week, and that probably that's what cursed us.
Fuck you, boy.
I cursed the whole damn thing, but because I forgot to just say at the end.
Shame.
We'll get it right this week. Up the wires. Go the Warriors.
La cucaracha ya no puede caminar.